Is it frostbite?
Yeah.
The cold shrinks the blood vessels and eventually reduces blood circulation. Without enough warmth, water inside each cell freezes into ice crystals, causing the cells to rupture and triggering a stabbing pain and tissue to die.
There is a city on Earth where winter can kill you in minutes, where breathing hurts, where cars never turn off, where the ground never melts. And yet, hundreds of thousands of people still live there. They raise children. They go to work. They fall in love. They don't survive by accident. They survive not because it's easy, but because humans will endure almost anything. Once a place becomes home. This is the story of the coldest places on Earth, and why people refuse to leave them. A city that shouldn't exist on paper. Places like Yakutsk and Oymyakon shouldn't exist. Yakutsk, in eastern Siberia, regularly drops below -50 degrees Celsius in winter. Oymyakon, a village not far away, has recorded temperatures as low as -71 degrees Celsius. At those temperatures, exposed skin freezes in minutes. Engines fail. Electronics die. Even breathing becomes painful. And yet Yakutsk is not a camp or a research station. It's a full city, home to more than 300,000 people. Schools operate. Markets open. Life continues. What makes these places feel impossible isn't just the temperature, it's the scale. Yakutsk isn't a military outpost or a mining camp. It has apartment blocks, universities, theaters, and hospitals. This isn't survival at the edge of civilization. This is civilization, operating where most of the world assumes it would collapse. In winter, the city becomes quieter. Movement slows. Every decision is calculated. Not because people are afraid, but because here, carelessness has consequences. So the real question isn't how cold is it? The real question is, why do humans insist on living here at all? How cold is the coldest place on Earth? To understand this, we need to understand what cold actually means. A typical household freezer runs at about -18 degrees Celsius. Antarctica's average winter temperature is around -60 degrees Celsius, but it's dry, isolated, and uninhabited. Yakutsk regularly reaches those same temperatures, inside a functioning city. At -40 degrees Celsius, the human body begins to struggle. At -50 degrees Celsius, unprotected skin can freeze in under 5 minutes. At -60 degrees Celsius, the air itself feels sharp, as if it's cutting into your lungs. This isn't just cold weather. It's an environment that actively fights against human biology. What extreme cold does to the human body? Cold doesn't attack the body all at once. It works quietly. First, blood retreats from the extremities, fingers, toes, ears, nose. The body prioritizes the heart and brain. Then, circulation slows, skin hardens, nerves lose sensation. Frostbite isn't just freezing, it's cellular damage. Water inside your cells turns to ice. Those ice crystals rupture tissue. That's why frostbitten skin turns white, then gray, then black. And once tissue dies, it doesn't come back. In extreme cold, the margin between uncomfortable and permanent injury is measured in minutes. This is why in places like Yakutia, people don't wander. They move with purpose. So why is it this cold here? Geography. Yakutsk sits in a basin surrounded by mountains. Cold air sinks, and once it settles into that basin, it gets trapped. There's very little wind to push it away. Winter cold simply accumulates. On top of that, the region experiences long polar nights. In midwinter, daylight can last just a few hours. Less sunlight means less heat. And once the ground freezes, it stays frozen. This frozen ground, called permafrost, extends hundreds of meters below the surface. It never melts. How cities adapt to frozen ground. Permafrost changes everything. You can't bury pipes underground. They would freeze and burst. You can't pour concrete foundations directly into frozen soil. It would shift and crack. So cities like Yakutsk build above the ground. Buildings are raised on pillars, allowing cold air to circulate underneath. Pipes run above ground, wrapped in insulation. The entire city depends on centralized heating. If the system fails, even briefly, homes can freeze solid. In extreme cold, infrastructure isn't convenience, it's survival. Why cars never turn off? In most of the world, turning off your car is normal. In Yakutia, it can be fatal. At extreme cold, engine oil thickens and freezes. Batteries die within minutes. Metal contracts. If a car shuts down outdoors at -50 degrees Celsius, it may never start again. That's why in winter, cars idle constantly. You'll see empty vehicles running outside homes, churches, and shops. It looks wasteful until you understand the alternative. In these places, mobility isn't optional. Getting stranded can mean freezing to death. So why don't people leave? From the outside, the answer seems obvious. Why stay? But for most people here, leaving was never a simple choice. Indigenous Yakut people lived in this region long before modern borders existed. They adapted through hunting, fishing, and herding, aligned with the land. Later, during the Soviet era, Siberia became a place of exile. Political prisoners, intellectuals, and dissidents were sent here. Many never returned. Their descendants stayed. For them, Yakutia isn't an experiment in endurance, it's home. There's also something psychological at play. When people grow up in extreme environments, their sense of normal shifts. Temperatures that would paralyze visitors feel routine to locals. Risk becomes background noise. Adaptation becomes identity. Leaving isn't just about geography, it's about losing familiarity, community, and cultural rhythm. For many residents, staying isn't bravery, it's continuity. And humans don't abandon home easily, even when it hurts. Life in the cold rewires routine. Food is different, heavy in fat and protein. Meat and fish freeze naturally outdoors. Markets operate in open air because the entire city is a freezer. Clothing is layered, deliberate, tested. Fashion yields to function. Children still go to school, unless temperatures drop below official safety thresholds. In many ways, cold compresses daily life, forcing routines to become precise and non-negotiable. Time itself feels different in extreme cold. Winter dominates the calendar. Plans revolve around temperature forecasts, not dates. Social life moves indoors. Homes become warmer, more communal spaces. In many ways, cold compresses life, but it also concentrates it. Relationships tighten. Routine becomes stability. Survival becomes shared. Cold versus heat. Why humans tolerate freezing better than burning? Here's something counterintuitive. Humans survive cold better than extreme heat. This is why cold cities historically persist longer than hot ones. Extreme cold discourages invasion, limits disease, and preserves infrastructure. Heat accelerates decay, biological and structural. Cold slows everything down, including collapse. Cold is brutal, but it's predictable. You can layer against it. You can build shelter. You can generate heat. Extreme heat is different. Once temperatures reach certain thresholds, especially with high humidity, the human body can no longer cool itself. Sweat stops working. Organs overheat. Death comes silently. In cold, humans have time to adapt. In heat, biology sets a hard limit. That's why humans have built cities in the Arctic, but abandoned cities in deserts. What happens when the cold starts to disappear? Ironically, warming may pose the greatest threat to these frozen cities. As permafrost thaws, the ground becomes unstable. Buildings tilt, roads crack, pipelines shift. Infrastructure built for eternal cold wasn't designed to move. For cities like Yakutsk, warming isn't relief, it's risk. For most of human history, geography decided where people lived. Today, technology gives us options, but history, culture, and memory still hold power. The coldest cities on Earth aren't mistakes. They are proof that humans don't live where it's easiest. They live where life has already taken root. Why humans live anywhere? So why do humans live in the coldest places on Earth? Not because it's efficient, not because it's comfortable, but because humans are stubborn, because history traps us, because belonging matters more than temperature. From frozen basins to burning deserts, humans adapt until they can't. And as the planet changes, the question won't be where humans can live. It will be where they choose to stay.